that's one of the top things that I look for in a partner is that curiosity.
Really?
Like somebody who's curious is somebody who like they excite me.
Hear that, ladies? Welcome to Shelf Indulgence, where stories come alive in conversation. I'm Remy, your host and first-time reader, turning the pages alongside each guest as they revisit a book that has left its mark on them. Together, we linger over passages, chase down themes, and wander through the margins of a story worth revisiting. Whether you're turning the pages for the first time with me or revisiting a favorite alongside my guest, I'm glad you've joined us on this journey. Hey folks, welcome back. Michael and I are diving into chapters 64 through 73, as you're about to hear. And though I sound very confident at the beginning of this episode that we'll make it through all of these chapters in one single sitting, if you've made it this far into the season, you can probably guess what I'm about to say. Alas, we sat down for nearly 4 hours on this section, so once again, I will be splitting this into 2 bits. I swear, I've already started recording the second season and I've gotten much better at this. Anyway, hope you're enjoying this crazy ride with us and have fun with the episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Shelf Indulgence. This is the second part of the Stranded section. We are reading between chapters 64 to the end of chapter 73. And boy, this is a section.
I mean, they all are, right? Like, they're all
at
just
this
as
point,
impactful.
yeah.
This is just a great book that keeps you reading, keeps you going.
Yeah, no kidding, dude. It starts off really, really strong with Juliet sinking into her her water tomb, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it starts out with chapter 64 right there in the front. All she can hear is the sound of the air in her helmet and nothing else, which is kind of terrifying by itself and definitely comes into play later. There's the mention of the green light again, the emergency lights as she fades into the blackness. Like, oh God, for someone that we talked about it last time, what did you end up finding the name of that?
It was something phobia. I can't remember
something having
term.
to do with the fear or the unease of
submechanophobia, I think.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, the mechanical things underwater, and I
subscribed to that subreddit right away, and it's so cool.
You were throwing images at me and things after our chat last week. You're like, thanks, man, thanks.
Hey, I only sent you one image. I told you about the other ones.
You did, but even the descriptors are like, yeah, I don't want to have anything to do with that. So I'm discovering that I definitely have a splash of that. Mm-hmm. So she's sinking down into the darkness away from the green lights that were eerie. But I mean, I think the darkness is probably even eerier. She discovers they didn't check the volume of the radio before putting the helmet on.
You know, in the silence of going down, and I was almost like, except for when Solo talks to her.
Yeah. So, whoops.
Yeah, a little loud. Which, you know, obviously ended up being a problem because of what happens. You know, she tells Solo, hey, don't talk unless I ask you to, which ends up being a major issue, as we'll get to soon. Yeah,
wild. Like we'll definitely get to that. But the imagery of her sinking down, though, was pretty intense. She's talking about sinking past floor 139 and the door having been blown violently off. And the corpses floating around, the bloated, pale, like
creepy,
like horrible. She does say that it occurred to her that the down deep would be preserved in its icy depths. Any violence, I don't think that it would in any way, shape, or form. Things are going to float away. The only thing that's going to be preserved is like holes and damage.
Well, so one of the things that I found on submechanophobia, ahead of time, was a photo of, oh man, I wish I had the name in front of me so I can get it right, but like Old Whitey or something like that, where it was a sunken ship with a like perfectly preserved human body of somebody who had obviously died on the ship. Like the photo's not great, and I searched for better photos, and there's just not really good photos of it. Must be hard to like get in there or something like that. Maybe it's hard to get down there, so they only have like a few photos to reference. But supposedly, like you can see kind of where his shoe and his pants are, like his boot and his pants, and supposedly he's just like pure white at this point because like all color is drained, but he's still there, preserved. And so like I believe that when I'm reading the book that like these bodies are preserved in their morbid state of where they last were, because it seems to be something that really happens.
Yeah, sure. And that's and it's not the preservation of the bodies themselves that I'm questioning. It's the preservation of the violence, the scenes of violence. Like the bodies are going to have floated away. They're going to be in a different spot than where they passed. There's not going to be a lot of blood because it will have been washed away by the water.
Well, yeah, I didn't imagine she was talking about blood. I thought she was talking about like the carnage of like doors being blown off and like, maybe bullet holes or like shattered glass and whatever.
Yeah, that's fair. That's absolutely true. So to that point, you're absolutely right. But when I read that, I thought, well, would we be able to piece anything together beyond just destruction of metal? Like that's the only thing that I could think of that would actually be preserved.
I think like seeing the dead bodies and seeing like exploded metal for me is enough. Like that tells me everything I need to know about what happened, especially like when you go down there knowing something happened. Like it's enough to kind of piece together all you need to know. I mean, honestly, drifting down in this darkness with the eerie green lights, like I wouldn't even need to see destruction. Like a dead body is enough to tell me everything that happened there.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct there. And it's
regardless though, like just seeing those bodies, man, that would be so fucking creepy, so just like disturbing. I would have such a hard time continuing.
Yeah, and the only light you've got is that cone in front of you. Oh God, fuck it. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I would wait the years for the pumps to slowly do it. I wouldn't do this. I'm sorry. I'm not brave enough.
Wouldn't even get into the water, let alone continue. But let's say for some reason you had the like, I'm going to go in the water. You get there, like you'd be noping out of there so fast.
Probably. Yeah. I and especially, and we'll get to a point where, I mean, if I got to this point, seeing the dead body, probably not, but it's not anything dangerous. So I probably would have continued. I wouldn't like it, but we're assuming that I'm there to begin with, which I wouldn't like either.
Yeah, right. For me, even though dead bodies don't denote danger, I would have absolutely felt that just like, I need to get out of here, because I would sense danger that doesn't exist, because my brain would just go crazy with the idea of like those dead bodies mean death.
Yeah, floating in
like,
dead body
that
soup.
just tells me I need to get out of here. I can't be here. I would absolutely have a hard time with it. I get claustrophobic.
I'd have a hell of a hard time with it.
So like just being down there in the darkness, surrounded by just, I mean, I'd have a hard time just living in the silo in general, but then like being in water, submerged in the silo, too much. I couldn't do it. Panic attack, totally.
So passing all that creepy ass shit, she finally gets down to the bottom. And she says her knees were jarred by the startling end to her descent. I'm wondering how fast she was sinking. Like, she's got the weights, and they were obviously causing a problem later on that we'll discuss. But like, how quickly was she descending for it actually to jar
to the rope or whatever?
Yeah.
So like she's definitely slowing herself, and obviously Solo yelled at her to go slower, which was one of the first things Juliet heard with the microphone being, or the speakers being up too high. And so she obviously was like keeping herself at a decent speed, I guess. But I think regardless of how fast she was going, it would have definitely jolted your knees. Like, you don't know it's coming. That surprise of like, oof, I just hit the bottom.
That's like when you miss a step.
Yeah. That's definitely a more relatable thing. I've never gone skydiving, but I imagine it's like what it's like coming down in a parachute when you hit the ground. Like, I just can't, like, that's how I pictured it in my head.
Okay, that's fair. I have done skydiving, and it's a slightly softer landing, but no matter how fast you're going, it's still jarring.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never done it. I'd like to at some point, but
oh, dude,
I don't know.
I'm
I'm
should
also
absolutely
terrified of heights. So like, I think I would freeze. I don't know if I'd be able to get out of the plane. I mean, granted, I know you're like,
that's what the person attached to your back is for.
You've got the tandem for that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's
anyway,
a trip. I'll tell you.
So yeah, that's kind of how I pictured it. You know, when she hits the ground.
Sure.
But regardless, it just felt so weird to me that, you know, she's supposed to be so buoyant. She needed the weights to go down. I don't know. We'll get to it because there was a certain spot when like she was talking about like how she was maneuvering and stuff that I was just like, wait a minute, this feels so like it wouldn't work out that way. But I don't remember the specifics. Maybe we'll get to it. Something definitely pulled me out a little bit.
Yeah, if we get to it, I'd be curious to know what you're talking about because I didn't find anything that took me out of it like that. But it's a trip later on this page. She's making her way through past the security gates, and the fact that it's foreign and familiar at the same time, it's like, can you imagine how much of a mindfuck this would be? Like,
oh, absolutely.
For something that you've lived in your entire life, not only is it not correct, but it's completely submerged in water, which makes it would almost have that. I know uncanny valley is specifically when talking about human, but it would kind of give that so close to correct feeling, that uncanny valley feeling, that it would it would mess with your mind like nobody's business. I can't even begin to wrap my mind around that.
She even comments on how, like, she's like, oh, my apartment's down that way. And it's like, no, it's not your apartment, but that is definitely the feeling you would get. Like, that's where my apartment would be had this been my silo. And she constantly comments on that, about how it's so weird to see what feels like her home that isn't her home.
Yeah. She talks about when she goes by what would be Walker's workshop. She's like, well, I mean, I wonder if it's a workshop here, or is it a storage closet or an apartment, or, you know, what could this be in this apartment or in this silo? And it's
with hundreds of years, like, rooms would change. Like, even if everything was designated, like, this is designated as the workshop for this area originally, like, it could easily have been something else. So yeah, definitely not necessarily exactly what she's imagining, but so similar and so surreal.
Yeah. Such a weird thing to wrap your mind around, to really, it would really throw me off. I don't know how I would operate. It's so bizarre to even think about.
I got to this one spot, like, I don't know what page you're on. I was just kind of flipping around, but like, where she's like, you don't have to do this, thinking to herself, like, yeah. You don't. Go back up. It's okay.
That's on the next page. I definitely underlined it as well, because like, you really don't. But I also understand the urgency, especially hearing what's going on in her own silo. Like, if anything is going to light a fire under her ass, it's finding out what's happening to her friends. But between that and her sanity.
We got confirmation that her intention is to get the digger and fix it up and barrel through that wall, and her dreams of like having all of her friends come and start a new silo over in the now dry silo 17. And I think that's a great idea. I love it. And
it is.
We'll see.
Though I was going to bring it up when we got that confirmation, but I do wonder, like, once she gets down there, how is she going to know which way to go?
What do you mean?
I mean, I guess she's got the map. I mean, she's also got the map.
The silo map. Digger. I mean, that would be like after it's all dry, right? So like, you know, she's got the map. She knows what wall it's behind. She just get there and figure it out.
Yeah, I guess that would probably be the way to do it with that map. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, that'd be ideal.
Plus, like, at this point in time, it's not even a consideration for her. Right now, all she's worried about is surviving.
Oh, yeah, just get to the diggers. That's tomorrow's problem.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I just figured I'd bring it up while we're on the subject. But yeah, I'm very curious to know how she tackles that, if she even gets to the diggers, because right now, boy, it's not looking wonderful.
Yeah.
So on that same page, she actually, I wanted to point out the way she talks about moving in the suit underwater. She says it was like guiding a bubble by throwing oneself against its skin. And that is such a weird way, but it makes perfect sense. The way
the skin of a bubble. Like, I wouldn't have written it that way, but that's interesting. Yeah.
So bizarre. Yeah, moving down the page there a little bit, she's also talking about her lifeline. Basically, she's got 3 things at the moment while she's sinking. Oh, I guess not anymore because she's already moved away from the actual lifeline that she tied a wrench to and left there. So she's got her hose, which is providing her air, and then the electricity, which is going to be what she plugs into the generator or the pump, excuse me.
Were you wondering how she was not getting them all tangled up the entire time? Because that was going through my head the entire time.
Exactly. And she's also like, I feel like there's a line here. She's talking about how she's it's a little bit further. I don't think it's on this page, but a little bit further in, she's got a death grip on them and pulling them. It's like Jules is from mechanical. She would have rigged something with like a carabiner or something to that effect to where it wouldn't have put any stress whatsoever on the valve itself. Like, anyone that works mechanical or any kind of power knows to knot it, loop it around something, give it a point of pressure other than the suit. So her holding it is very silly to me. I don't know why she wouldn't have prepared for that.
Well, it was connected to her helmet.
Yeah.
So like she wouldn't need to hold it, right?
Well, yeah, but what her fear, the reason she's holding it is so that the pressure isn't pulling on the helmet so it doesn't detach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you rig something to where you do a few loops around your waist or something to where when it pulls, it pulls on your waist, not your helmet valve. It was strange.
Speaking of carabiners, this is a random, totally tangential thought that I've had.
Hit me.
Wouldn't there be people who would like be the rock climbers of the world who would like intentionally scale the silo from the inside, like not on the stairs, but like, you know, the sides of it or whatever? Like, wouldn't there be those people who just did that shit for fun? And like, wouldn't there be people who are like, hey, why don't we just rappel down to get down there quicker? Like,
that's what I was saying about the pulleys. It's like the same thing.
Like using pulleys to send stuff down instead of porters. Like, why wouldn't they do that? I mean, I understand the whole, things are, you know, like not having an elevator because you want to keep people separated as much as you can, but you can't really stop people's ingenuity. Like, okay, we don't have an elevator. We've never heard of elevators. It's not something we think to do, but people would like say, how can we make this easier? And like, why wasn't that a thing?
And how can we make this fun?
There's got to be people with like carabiners, like that are figuring out how to climb that shit just for fun. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe it's like a big rule and like, you know, if you even tried, you'd get in major trouble. But I liken it to like skateboarders back before skate parks became a thing, you know, when they'd like skate everywhere they could because they didn't have a place to go. And cops would always get mad at them. Oh, that's illegal. You can't do that, until finally they're given a place that they can go do it on their own. So I feel like people would have done it anyway, even if it was against the rules and risk getting caught. But anyway, that's just my tangential. Carabiners made me think about that.
People have an adventurous spirit. I completely agree. I think there would be those people that rappel or climb, and I could just see somebody climbing the stairs on the underside with their hands.
Yes. Yeah, you know? Right. like free solo style, you know, just going without any supports and just doing it because they can. Especially like what we hear a little bit later on about the way Juliet survives her ordeal. That made me think about like the underside of like, like you could probably climb that.
Yeah, and that was actually we will get to that because I have questions about that as well. But that's a really good point. There'd be a lot of people that, I mean, you can't hold them down. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there'd 100% be people that would be repelling and shit. That sounds fun, actually. I'd be one of those people.
I know you would. Mister, I lived on a boat and went paddleboarding every morning. You'd totally be one of those people.
It was so good. So good. So she's talking about how Lucas is keeping her apprised as to what's going on in her silo. He's got a radio mounted on the wall that leaked violence day and night. Mm-hmm. And apparently there's a radio similar on her wall, but can only communicate with the radios within 17, which is, I assume, pretty much exactly what Walker has been working on.
Yeah. So, I mean, we learn, I think in the last chapter of the section that we read, that there's a radio with a dial 1 through 50 on it that's locked up that he can't get to. So, like, we know most of the radios in the silo, or probably like all of them except for that one, have no dial. That's why Walker had to figure it out on his own. But it makes me wonder, like, where's Silo 17's adjustable radio? And why hasn't Juliet been like, oh shit, I can go contact my silo with this?
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I'm curious about, like how, but we don't know where Hank got that radio either. We have no idea.
Well, Hank's radio doesn't have the dial. Like that was just like a deputy radio as far as I can tell. And the only
right, but the one that he
that
brought Walker
doesn't have a dial.
It's said, is that right?
Only on the inside when he tore it apart, and on the inside,
I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
18 because it was hard coded to 18.
That's right.
Whereas Juliet, or the one that Lucas can see, actually has a dial on the outside that you can adjust. So like they do have the way to use a radio to talk to the other silos, but it's locked up for presumably emergency situations or something like that. So like, where's the adjustable one from Silo 17? Is it still locked up in the same cage that Lucas's radio is locked up? Or did it get somehow lost in the however many years that it's been since Solo's been living there?
34
like
years
30,
or something like that?
Yeah, it was like 34 or 36 or something like that. Whatever it was, I think it was 34 years old. It was 34 years because I remember specifically thinking when I was reading it, because Jules says in the book, I probably wasn't even born yet.
That's right.
Because and I was like, well, if she's 36, she'd be 2 years old. What are you talking about? But then, like, you know, now we know that the rewrite of the book, like when they made it a single book, she's 34. So it's the same number of years old as she is, which means she was born the same year it happened. And there's a chance she wasn't even born when this happened. Except in my book,
interesting.
She's 2, even though she says she wasn't born. Little discrepancy there. Yeah. Again, probably why he fixed it and like changed it. Because like he'd written these things that like, you can't be 36 if the silo went under 34 years ago. But anyway.
Yeah. But on that next page, she's talking about how she wants to get back to her silo and stop the violence, of course. But she says, you know, I'd go up through the doors, but those doors were only ever open to kill people, which is such a morbid way to put that, but also very true. Like the only other time that those doors have been open not to kill people is to put them in it.
Yep.
Which is
Really quick before we get too far, I just found a paragraph that talks about the radio.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Lucas had kept her apprised of the horrible mess their friends were in. There was a radio mounted to his wall below the servers. Mounted to his wall that leaked violence day and night. Solo's underground apartment was equipped with an identical radio, but it could only communicate with Silo 17's portables. Juliet had given up fiddling with it. That doesn't mesh with what we learn about the dial being on Lucas's radio. Like he sees a dial that he can't touch. So like if Juliet can access it, why doesn't hers have a dial?
I don't know. That's weird. Why there would be inconsistencies between silos.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like Hugh not being careful enough and like we just have to accept that there's some weirdness here, or if it's like inconsistencies between the silos. I would have a hard time buying that they wouldn't install identical radios with the adjustable dials.
Why would you have a separate one made?
I mean, maybe something happened to it. I don't know. She's also probably not that kind of tinkerer like Walk is.
No,
so she might not understand like the electronics as well as she understands like the mechanical of things.
That'd be my assumption. Yeah. But she's also trying to, part of this paragraph that we were talking about, going back to what she wants to go back to the silo for, because she's hearing all this information from Lucas's radio. She's talking about how she wants to get back and expose Bernard and IT. And beyond potentially changing the hearts and minds of those that are following Bernard, I don't know that would do a whole lot of good at this point.
Yeah,
it might turn the rest of the silo against him as well, and he'd have to. I don't know. It feels.
I think that simply showing up alive and being
like,
look, there's other silos out there, and they've been lying to you, might have a big change of heart for people.
Sure, but then you might also get the rush that Silo 17 did.
Not necessarily, because she could be like, look,
like, don't do this. It is still poisonous. Yeah, you're right.
But
you're right.
There's more than we know. I mean, it still might cause an uprising, like beyond what's already happening. Like maybe all the people who have been sitting on the sidelines might decide to say, fuck IT.
Actually take up arms.
Yeah, and actually like fight back.
Yeah, I suppose it could do a lot more than I'm giving it credit for.
But it could still destroy everybody, though. Like maybe they wouldn't go outside because they know that it's truly deadly out there because she has the truth. but it might still cause things to happen that would completely kill the silo.
Spiral out of control.
Or like you've been saying before, like maybe silo 1 has some sort of control and they could kill the entire silo.
Yeah, that would be a concern of mine. Like, I feel like Silo 1, I mean, especially after the things that we learn later on with Lucas, I feel like they're, boy, yeah, we'll get there. Man, there's so much to unpack in that chapter. I was reading that chapter, sitting there, it's like, how are we going to talk about this? Like, there's so much here. Like, without just reading the chapter, I'm kind of curious how we're going to approach it, but we'll figure it out. So getting back to Jules, she gets to the turnstile, and her getting through the turnstile, getting into mechanical proper, it felt much smaller than I had ever imagined. She's just wearing a suit, which I can't imagine makes her much larger or even as large as Nox by description. Why is this so difficult to get through? I mean, they boarded, or not boarded, they made a wall at this choke point in her silo. But why is this? I'm not picturing what this turnstile looks like. It feels like it shouldn't have been so difficult.
Why she had to go over it. Like, if it's a turnstile, why can't she just push through it? Right. I mean, maybe just like the inflatedness of the suit made it so hard to maneuver that she just couldn't get enough pressure to move the turnstile, or maybe it like rusted shut. No, you can't have rust without oxygen, so like there wouldn't actually be any rust. So I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. It just the way it was described, like normally Hugh was really good at painting a really good picture. This one just kind of fell flat for me. I couldn't piece together what I was looking at.
Yeah, it says she was placing her hands on either side and pushed, squirming and kicking her heavy heels against the low wall until she was just barely sitting on the control box. So yeah, I don't really understand.
It feels like an unnecessary choke point.
I don't know why she had to go over it. It just didn't make any sense to me. But regardless,
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, moving on. Just a curiosity there because it didn't quite click for me. I was wondering if it did for you. Sounds like it did not.
Not really.
But moving on, you get more about the kind of alien familiar thing going on. And then this is where she asks, is this where she asks? Yeah, this is where she asks Solo not to speak unless he's spoken to, basically. Which, you know, she's a lot nicer about it, but basically that's the rundown, which, as you mentioned, does really kind of screw her later.
Absolutely. In this sort of situation, you need to be having that constant communication. You need to know everything's going okay on both sides.
Yes.
Like if there's a problem, like she needs to know about it, and she needs to know everything's fine. And she just flat out says, "Don't contact me." I'm like, this is such a bad idea, because like he needs to know you're okay too. Like if you're not saying anything, he's going to be worried his ass off. So like at very minimum, there needs to be like a quick check-in. I don't know.
Every minute check in, every 3 minutes check, something like that. You know, easy enough.
Like he could have like tried whispering or something like that. Like she could have been like, just whisper and it'll come through really loud still and it won't hurt my ears as much. I don't know. I feel like there could have been another solution instead of saying
at least an attempt at one. Yeah. She's having a real rough time mentally getting through these hallways that look so familiar, with dead bodies up on the pipes and wrapped, and she's picturing them as being George or Scotty or herself or anyone that she loves, basically. And I can't even begin to imagine what a nightmare that would be. That is, Jesus. This is where I was talking about the lifeline thing.
Yeah, this is where I'd be like, I'm out of here. I can't do this.
Yeah. It wouldn't take a whole lot to push me the other direction. Especially on this page, I just realized, is where she finds there's a small leak in one of the links.
Yeah, like seeing the air bubbles coming out of the link, I would like that. That was one of the things that really like got to me. I'm like, I don't understand the logic here.
That's where I abort.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Like if like you see that in real life and you're like, well, fuck, that's the problem. So that has to be the air coming into her, right? Yeah. So
it's pumping its pressure on the pipe because it's pumping into her. Yeah.
Felt so like, I mean, I guess if enough air is being pushed through, it doesn't really matter that there's some leakage because the air is getting to where you need to be and the water's not going to be able to come the other way because the air is pushing out. So I guess it would be fine.
Yeah, but
it just
one
made
small
me
leak.
nervous.
It's like the leak in the dam. It's just going to get larger. period.
Yeah.
And that's not what ultimately ends up screwing her. But I figured at this point, okay, here's our chink in the chain. Here's where the problem begins. Link.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, this is not going to end well. At the bottom of that page, she's like, well, all I have to do is hook up the power lines, 2 easy connections, and make my way out. It's like, that is quote unquote all you have to do. Like Jules.
2 easy connections. Like, when is it ever easy? Like, I've changed my brakes, right? And like, it should be easy. Like, there's just a few bolts, like, you know, it's pretty quick, like, shouldn't take very long, but something always goes wrong. The first time I changed my brakes, like, first time I ever did that, it took me a day and a half to change the first one, and then 45 minutes each for the other 3. But the reason it took me a day and a half for the first one, well, A, the learning curve, you know, trying to figure out what the fuck I was doing, but B,
of course.
I literally broke a wrench at one point because the bolts were so stuck on, and I didn't know how to free
Juliet.
them. So yeah, I guess it's spoilers. That's what happened to her. But like, I know this because of my experience with just fixing my brakes on my car. She's been in mechanical for long enough. She should know to expect things to go wrong. So for her to be thinking, oh, just 2 quick things and I'm out of here, I don't know, maybe that's her just like trying to hype herself up
to convince herself
something's gonna go wrong.
Probably.
But like,
man,
if she really believes that, come on, no, she should know better.
Well, in the next paragraph, she says it seems perfectly attainable. It doesn't seem like she's trying to convince herself. It feels like she's genuinely like, no problem. I got this. It just, it feels a little naively optimistic.
Yeah. But then again, like, that could be her just trying to not let
You're totally right.
the environment scare the shit out of her.
Yeah, it would be me. Oh, man alive. I would be trembling more than she's about to. So she comes across her flashlight shone on the numbers signifying how deep the waters has risen. And she says it's comical because she's hundreds of feet underwater. But the end of that sentence, she's like, it's comical and sad. This silo had failed its people. And then she goes on to say, but then Juliet corrected herself. These people had failed their silo. Yeah. And while I appreciate both perspectives, because that was kind of the Jan's versus Jules conversation, but man, it's at this point, it's people failing people, like hardcore. The silo's got nothing to do with it at this point. And it's God, I mean, it's really sad to see the degradation of a community that lived so close for hundreds of years. It's like that conversation that Solo and Jules were having, the not taking credit for the good years. From chapters and chapters back. But that's kind of what that reminded me of. It's like, there were so many good years. Right now, it's the combination of horrible people. Well, I really just one really terrible person kind of driving this all home. And it's sad to see. I mean,
it connects us to the conversation that happens with Lucas and Bernard towards the end of this section that we're reading, where
it does.
He talks about how, like, I don't want to skip ahead too much because I really want to get into that conversation.
Lay it out. We will absolutely get it out,
but
because I do too.
Like Bernard, like the humanity starts coming through a little bit, and that understanding of like, I'm doing terrible things, but it's because people before me did worse things, and
it's
like
a hard justification.
It is. I mean, I side with Lucas ultimately with the like,
I love the way Lucas looks at it.
But
he sits there. He's like, well, who are these people? Have they convinced themselves that they're the good guy as well? Because it always comes back to that. Are we the good guys? Who's in the right here? This is the whole Knox going up towards supply when he was thinking about like, well, the people before us, they were wrong, right? It's such a moral dilemma. And to see Bernard have the stance that he does, I still hate the guy. He's still an absolute piece of shit. But to see him have that side of humanity, it's like, okay, there is as you were saying last episode, there's nobody's pure evil, nobody's pure good. There's a grayness to every person. no matter what.
Yeah.
And to see that good side start to shine through a little bit, it's like, oh wow, there it is. It does exist. Confirmation that he's not an absolute trash person. Still pretty far in the trash category, but
we all think we're the heroes of our own stories, right? So,
for sure.
Like some of the best media that we're going to consume, books, movies, whatever, are when the villains truly believe that what they are doing is for the good. And it's the rest of us to make that judgment of, are they actually doing good, or are they deluded, and or are they like seeing the world in a way that is tainted by whatever it is that's affecting their view, brainwashing experiences, whatever. And so, like I think that's what makes a really compelling villain, is somebody who you can kind of understand their thought process and kind of put yourself in their shoes and see the way they see it and understand why they think what they're doing is right. And Bernard thinks he's the good guy.
And his explanations and he straight up says, and we'll get to it, we'll dive further into this, I'm sure, but he says that he would, if he were put in the room with the guys that did this, he'd kill every one of them with his bare hands. It's like, whoa, okay. So it's hard to, we've had this vision of this horrible, evil, wicked man this entire time. And while, yes, he is doing all these wicked things, and he is indeed that wicked person because he propagates these ideas and he does these horrible things, there is a rationale, and a reasonable rationale behind him. And it's wild to see. Like I told you at the beginning, if Hugh Howey tries to spin this guy into a protagonist, it's never going to happen for me. But at least I can see where he's standing now. And that's a really impressive thing from where I came from.
Absolutely. There's a specific quote that I highlighted, and we'll get to it when we get to it. But my note was like, I forget exactly what it was, but it was something like, what do you think of him now?
When I was reading that part, I'm like, shit, I'm going to have this conversation.
But yeah, for now, we're talking about how the people of Silo 17 failed their silo. And I think we can kind of think of Silo in this case as the community of people in the silo. Like,
I completely agree.
The people failed, as you said, the people. And like, for whatever their reasons were, whatever their beliefs were, like the Bernard of this silo probably felt similar to the Bernard of our silo. Like whether or not they had the humanity that Bernard starts to show, or if they are, pure, like, drink the Kool-Aid. We don't really know, but regardless, they failed them. And this is the argument for why, people need to know. Like, this is at least that's how I feel. And I think that's kind of the point that Hugh's making in this as well, is that, like, I think honesty, transparency is absolutely the way to go, because then people can work together. 100%. They can understand what's happening instead of being put into the darkness and told lies.
Because that never ends well.
It absolutely never ends well.
Yeah. But it's a really, and this goes back to what you said with apocalyptic stories. There's always that glimmer of hope, but there's so much packed in behind it. Like, there's so much humanity and the exploration of humanity, which is a reason I like apocalyptic things too. There's always the exploration of humanity. It's not only the hope side of things, but the how did you get here side of things that is so fascinating.
Absolutely.
Ash and I, this is totally aside, but Ash and I were watching, I had never seen the movie Gladiator.
Oh, wow.
So we watched that the other night. Yeah, I know, a total miss on my part. But we were watching it and watching these thousands of people in the Coliseum rooting for people to kill each other. And like, we watch a lot of movies and TV shows and read a lot of books of people dying and sport and apocalyptic things and people just being horrible to each other. But to be watching Gladiator and kind of stew in the fact that this is based in reality, like disgusting how humans can behave.
We are terrible.
We're terrible. Like, we are the worst species on this planet by far.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was just like, I was sitting there watching this, and it's like, for entertainment purposes, it's a beautiful, gorgeous movie, wonderfully told story, and just phenomenal. I mean, I'm sure I'm probably the last person that hasn't seen it or hadn't seen it, but if you haven't seen it, go watch The Gladiator, because wow. But to step back and realize the reality of it, and how horribly people treated one another because they could.
Yeah, I think about this a lot with modern day, with how like we have all these stories of people rooting for death, like celebrating death, like we talked about earlier, like when like hangings would happen and people would come out to celebrate and watch, and like that curiosity, and like, oh yeah, right, watch this person die. And people have cheered for war, have cheered for like the slaughter of thousands of innocents. Like think about like the American slaughtering of the Native American, like the I shouldn't say Americans, but I guess we, whatever, the white people slaughtering of the Native Americans. And like that sort of thing, and like how like, oh, these people they're whatever derogatory terms they use, I can't think of it off the top of my head, savages. They dehumanize people to justify the terribleness, murder, genocide. Like genocide everything itself, that term, it's a term that I feel needs more impact.
It's a term that shouldn't exist.
Well, we shouldn't have to have a name for it. I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
And people are so terrible that we do.
Yeah.
But like when we think of like, oh, this person killed 9 people in a church, we think, oh my God, that's terrible. It's such a big deal. We think, like, oh, this person, these people killed 3,000 people by knocking down some buildings with planes, and that's horrible. Like but once you start talking about people being murdered in the millions, our brains just kind of turn off. Like we can't handle the impact, the intensity of what that really means. And so like when you say there's a genocide, like it's a word that I feel loses impact because of the scale. And it's so hard for us to understand how bad that really is, and how absolutely terrible. And that just shows how terrible we are as human beings, that this is something that has happened so many times throughout history. And I think so often about how like this is something of the past. Like we hear history of like, oh, these uncivilized people that murdered thousands. But it still fucking happens today, and I think about how disconnected we are from it all.
Yep, we've never been more disconnected while being so connected.
Right?
It's wild.
Like the internet gives us the ability to have fast information. We know exactly what's happening everywhere when it happens, and yet we don't internalize it the way we should. It doesn't impact us as much as it could. Now, there's also, the whole empathy fatigue that comes with all of the stuff that's happening, and we can't feel as strongly for everything we hear about, otherwise we just go mad. So like we have to have a way to tune it out,
compartmentalize.
But I think that in process of tuning it out, we lose that impact, and we lose how important it is to not get this way. But this is the real point that I'm trying to get to. It makes me think about how, like here in America, as an example, because we have so much political turmoil happening around us constantly, how quickly I think things can turn, how quickly things can turn into people murdering each other in the street, and everybody else just kind of like turning a blind eye or like participating. And
that's the thing that blows my mind.
It scares me because like, people that you go and pass in the grocery store right now could at any moment, due to the way we work as a civilization, the way our body, our brains work in that like justifying the means, like those people could be, turning around and shooting a gun at us in the middle of some stupid civil war in 6 months. Like it's terrifying.
It is,
but I don't know.
It is.
Enough of that.
Welcome to the human condition.
But,
No, it's all, I completely agree with everything you said, and it is terrifying. And it's just, the thing about it is all media kind of circles around it. Not all media, I suppose, but a lot of media circles around the human condition and what it means to be human. And ultimately this, I mean, the terrible qualities that we as humans have in general. And it's tragic because there is so much rich content there. There is so much to tell. There's so much history of us being exactly that horrible, that a book or movie or TV show or something showing the absolute worst side of humanity is not that far-fetched. It's insanity.
Which is also why I love sci-fi, because it gives us a chance to put it into the more immediate future, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when we think about like something like the Civil War, like if we watch a movie about the Civil War, or like you were saying about Gladiator, we see this as I was saying earlier, in the past, and it kind of disconnects us from it, whereas sci-fi kind of puts it as a potential future. And I think it makes it a little bit more real to me, even though it is in unreal situations.
Right. And I see what you're saying there, but I don't think I've ever been sitting in a sci-fi movie and watching it and someone does something horrible. Tarkin blows up Alderaan, for example. Mm-hmm. That's horrible. Like horrible.
Yeah.
It's like you're watching that and you're like, whoa, that's really bad. And then you move on.
Yeah.
Because it's a narrative.
It's kind of the nature of movies though, right?
It is. But
in general,
to watch something like Gladiator, sitting there realizing like, oh my God, that's kind of a history account. That is awful. Like there may have been fewer deaths in that instance, but
yeah, and I guess that's why people like war movies too, because it often points
I think that's
out.
why I don't like war movies.
Yeah, there are some.
I'm not a fan.
I got to say, there are some war movies that are made so well that really like pull you in and make you feel the horror of it. But I think a good majority of war movies glorify it, and I don't like the glorification of war movies.
Yeah, and I've seen some phenomenal ones. I've seen some incredible war movies, but it's going to have to hit a level of buzz for me to go see it.
Yeah, so for me, Civil War by Alex Garland. You've seen it? Oh my God, it is intense, and it is
rough to watch.
Because like even though it's not sci-fi, it's what I think of why I like sci-fi. It's that like near future, like something happened. And for me, that was that was a warning of what we are headed towards. And I like that he didn't really like give a viewpoint of either side. They didn't like say what caused it. It was just like, this is what happens when two groups of people like think of each other as other and want to destroy one another. And like, that's scary. It's so scary because we could easily be careening towards that right now. Yep. But another example that I really love, and I think is more of the sci-fi aspect that I was talking about, is Children of Men.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite movies of all time. And I think that really helps. It gives you that feeling and impact of how people are terrible and how like it's so easy for society to turn on the other and treat them as just not
inhuman.
And it humanizes people, and I really love that movie as an example of sci-fi for me that tackles those sorts of questions.
Yeah, that's one we've discussed in this podcast, and I completely agree. Yeah, we have. And it's
my memory shit. Like 2 weeks ago, I already forgot.
To reiterate, it's a phenomenal movie, and if you haven't watched it, I do highly recommend it. It is, Michael's right. It is one of the most incredible / depressing movies I've ever seen.
and for everybody that's listening, just a little pitch for Remy's Patreon. If you want to have a nice list of all the things we've talked about on the podcast, I just discovered this the other day when I was on there. He's got a great list of everything we've mentioned, and it's so
links
cool
and everything.
to kind of like scroll through that and see it. So go check that out if you want to remember all the things we've talked about.
I appreciate the pitch.
And while you're at it, you might as well sign up.
yeah, that would be lovely as well. For $3 a month, it's not that bad.
There you go.
But getting back to Juliet, she is starting to feel the cold of the deep, deep water. So she wasn't sure if it was going to hold out the cold. She thought, oh, good, no problem. By the time she gets to where she is currently, past the turnstile and everything, she's starting to feel it. So she starts in on the pump fix, which, as you mentioned last time, ironically, that was the last thing she did in the silo, is fix a pump. And she's working on it, and she suddenly hears herself breathing. All she could hear is her own breath. And then she realizes, oh shit, I shouldn't be able to hear my breath. Where's my hissing air? Oh my God, panic.
Panic. Extreme panic here.
And she calls out to Solo, saying, Solo, this is Juliet. Can you hear me? What's going on up there? Keep those words in mind. And she's looking for signs of a kink in her air hose. She's still got air in her suit. She's not sure why he's not responding. It's pure horror. Mm-hmm. And then just a couple paragraphs later, she's trying to wire the pump, the ground wire and everything. She's getting confused. And she's wondering why it's so suddenly hard to think. And
my note there was because you're not breathing O2. You're not breathing oxygen.
Yeah.
You're breathing your own exhaust.
Yeah. So she's already at that point. She's not even done fixing the pump yet. That's yikes. But then she realizes the pressure is officially gone. There's absolutely no air being pumped in. And I did write a note here and I realized that we had discussed this previously, but it would fit. Like if the hidey holes, the IT hidey holes were being powered by other stations and they had like a dedicated station, the timing of this would have been really interesting because we're at such a point in Silo 18 that they could totally turn off the power. Like it would probably be smart at this point to turn off the power. So I was assuming the next chapter would be them turning off the power and that being the reason she lost her generator and air and everything. Then I realized that the generator itself is actually pumping air and it's being fueled by gasoline. So that was completely stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I did write it.
Hey.
So here we are.
That's okay. We have lapses in thought all the time.
So that's where that chapter leaves us. So she's just, running out of air. So now we're moving back into Silo 18.
So I had a thought about this. So this is going to lead into the next Juliet chapter, which we'll get to in a second. But
sure,
I was a little confused about the air. So if the air is being pushed in and inflating the suit, and she's breathing that air that's in there, and then the excess is venting out the top, how is she for sure getting all of her carbon dioxide out with that vent? And how, once she had no pressure, was it not still venting out? I'm not entirely sure of like the physics of that and like how that would work.
So you're asking, okay, so if you populate, like if you're pumping, if you're pumping O2 into a suit, even if somebody is breathing out the carbon dioxide, there's going to be enough leakage that I don't think it would become an issue because you're pumping fresh air in. You're probably pumping oxygen out as well.
So you're probably pushing both oxygen and carbon dioxide out.
That would be my assumption. Because you're
pumping enough in, it's probably more oxygen exiting than
my thought. Yeah,
it's like the percentage wise, which that kind of answers my next question, which was how she rescued herself.
Yeah,
but I guess this kind of answers the question of the bubbles exiting her suit are probably oxygen rich, and I guess that kind of alleviates the plot hole that I was thinking I may have found with this.
Yeah, with the silvery.
Like wouldn't the exhale be all carbon dioxide? But I guess no, you're pushing enough in that it's going to be a mix as it's coming out, and that answers that question. So I'm good. Never mind. We can move on.
All right. So we're moving into chapter 65 because that's where they left us. That too. But Silo 18, nonetheless.
I'm sorry.
We're back.
Chapter 13 in my book, Silo 18. I looked at the title. I messed that up.
Perfect.
So in my book, if you're on an old out-of-print copy like I am, it's chapter 13. And what'd you say it is for?
Chapter 65.
Chapter
slightly
65.
Different.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're back with Shirley and Walker. They're running down toward the generator room. Sounds like the mechanical is putting up more blocks, more walls, so that Sims and his ilk have a harder time getting through.
Completely like off topic of what's going on here. Just a thought that I've had multiple times in this conversation. I've noticed that you and I tend to call them by their nicknames, Jules and Walk, instead of, you did just say Walker, but I said Walk a second ago.
Sure.
Instead of like Juliet
I go back and forth
Walker,
with both of them.
Right?
Yeah.
But the book, I've noticed, pretty much only mention the nicknames like once or twice early on. And then like every time it's mentioned Jules, it's been Juliet. Like it has not said Jules. I've been looking for it, yet we still refer to her as Jules because of like the one time she was called Jules. And I just think that's really fascinating, the way our brains work with that. Like we hold on to that nickname and talk about him that way, even though it's written Juliet and Walker. But anyway, so yes.
Oh man, that reminds me of crap. I might have to cut this because I can't remember what movie or show it was. But there was a movie where
yet
was
another tangent, which just explains why it takes us 2 hours to go through something that probably takes us an hour to read.
I know, it's wild. But there was a movie or a show or something that I would consistently I remember what it was. It was The 100, which is a show I've talked about on this podcast.
Oh yeah, that I haven't seen.
Yeah, so there's a character called Lincoln, and he's kind of a badass, and I feel like somebody at some point called him Link, and that's just what that's what I refer to him as, and she corrects me every fucking time. You mean Lincoln? I'm sorry, it's just his name.
That's so funny. I love it.
Yeah, I
same sort of thing here. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly the same thing. It's kind of funny. And I don't even know if anyone actually called him Link or not, by the way.
Right? Like, it could have just been something that in your head, you shortened it to that.
I nicknamed him. He was a good character. But yeah, so Shirley and Walk are headed down to the generator room. And I like the little line here that says, Walker skipped and danced his old leg so he wouldn't get tangled up. That's really funny. I just got a really good visual.
Right? I got such a good visual of that. Like the cables all, and like he's just like making sure he's not stepping on them, and like making sure that it's good. I like it.
Yeah.
Also makes like Walker a little bit more endearing.
Yeah,
I'm already so endeared to him. Like, I love that guy.
Yeah, I really like Walker. He's like later on when he. Well, we'll get to it in a second. But yeah, I love Walker. He's a good character.
Did I mention that they gender swapped him in the show?
You did. And that's I mean, it makes zero difference. I'm just hoping that the lady that does it does this character justice, because I love this character. I don't care what sex
it's different.
Is it?
It's different.
That's unfortunate.
It's a different character. Like it's the same character, but it's a different character. And some of the things that I love about Walker in the book, I think aren't really present in the show. I really like the character in the show. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love her. She is great, but she's different. She's not the same. And yeah, changes from show to movie, book to show happens. And I really think that we should definitely watch the show together and talk about it as like a bonus for your Patreon, because I think that'd be really fun.
I'd like to. Yeah, I definitely, maybe after we finish all 3 books, maybe before, I don't know, we'll figure it out. But I definitely want to do that.
As I've been reading the book and thinking about the show, I think I've realized, and I haven't looked it up for sure, but based on the content of when things happen, I'm pretty sure seasons 1 and 2 are book 1. I don't think they used any of the other books in seasons 1 and 2. They just stretched out book 1 to seasons 1 and 2. But they're planning on doing book 2 is season 3 and book 4 is season 3.
When we're done here, I'll do some spoiler-free research and see if I can avoid spoilers. But if that's the case, then I'd be totally down to watch it. Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, we should get through seasons 1 and 2 as our watch. But anyway, yeah.
But back to Walker. It also mentions that his poor little legs are having a hard time keeping up because he's a recluse and doesn't use them. Yeah, I'd imagine nothing less. And going back to the show, had I been involved in the casting, and he's probably too old at this point anyway, but for some reason my brain keeps wanting to picture Anthony Hopkins as Walker.
Oh,
that's what my brain keeps forcing toward.
That's not how I picture him. Interesting.
Like a meek. He's done some characters that are really kind of almost confused and meek, and it feels like he would do this character a lot of justice.
I don't know that I've seen him, like, at least consciously seen him play meek. I feel like he always plays pretty confident in the characters I can think of.
I think there was one, what was it called? It was a Stephen King book. Heart of the Sea, Heart of the Ocean, Heart of the Sea. I think I know what you're talking about,
but I'm not familiar with it. I haven't seen it.
It's a Stephen King book, I think. I could be spouting complete lies.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think like who I have a very distinct idea of who Walker is in my head. And in my mind, he's not as big as Knox, but he's kind of a bigger guy, but kind of one of those guys that like doesn't really have a good sense for his body size. Like he's bigger than he thinks. He, like, his limbs kind of move in a way that he doesn't really control. Like, that's just kind of how I see him. And I kind of see him as like this, I don't know. I can't think of an actor to compare him to.
Yeah, stew on it. I'm curious to know what you would come up with.
If it comes to me as we're talking, I'll interrupt and spout it out. But
sounds good.
But yeah, like I don't know. I kind of see him as this like nervous guy. I see him as like, kind of one of those guys who like kind of quietly mumbles the things he's trying to say because like he's smart and has all these ideas, but isn't like socially inept. Or no, inept is the wrong word. He isn't socially. He adequate. Is socially inept, like he doesn't really know how to communicate with other people and interact with the world around him. And so it's kind of how I see this, like this quiet, meek, bigger guy. Yeah. That takes up more space than he feels comfortable taking up.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. I'd be curious. If you think of the actor, I'd be curious to know what you're.
There's no actor in mind. I'm just trying to like.
I know. That's what I'm saying. If somebody else, something comes,
if I think of somebody, comes
to mind, I'd be curious.
Yeah. I'll try not to dwell on it too much so I can focus on the rest of this. Like it's going to be in the back of my head. So yeah, walk.
Fair enough. So they make their way to the generator room and they're carrying all these components, and Jenkins is wholly unimpressed. Basically said, "Fat lot of good it does us now." So he's like, "Well, you had your chance. You fucked up."
Yeah.
So I think he even says that at one point later. But then there's a statement down here, a little paragraph or a piece of the paragraph. Jenkins yelled to the stragglers bringing up the rear. He twirled his arm and his elbow for them to hurry. Only the mechanics who had traded their wrenches for guns remained. That felt really heavy. It's like, God, these people are just, they're just workers. They're mechanics. They shouldn't be where they are. And it's tough to imagine having that thrust into your hands. Yeah. And this is something that Lucas deals with a lot as his killing of McLean and how he continually goes back to it. And I think that is probably going to be the thing that happened to him that saves him from Bernard's influence.
Probably, honestly, like if that hadn't happened, he probably wouldn't be racked with as much guilt and struggling with his morals as strongly.
So it's a similar parallel to the mechanics and IT, even though IT seems very for it. But then again, we're not getting the beyond Sims. We haven't met anyone that's actually making the assault. So we don't know what that looks like. But Walker is having a hard time. He's like numbly obeying, kind of going through the motions, thinking all the parts he left behind, all the things he should have grabbed, all the things that he should have done. My note here is, well, just wait till Jules comes through the wall and you can get those from 17. It's like, yeah, don't worry about it. She'll be there. But yeah, so then we find that they're in the generator room, and it seems that Jules is having fixed the generator as one of her big hurrahs in the silo is paying off in dividends now because all of mechanical is there and they're not deaf.
Needing the headphones,
good. And that leaves the headphones available for them to use as speakers, because one of the things that they didn't grab was speakers in their rush. And it turns out transmitters, because Jenkins was only interested in listening, not speaking.
Yeah.
So that was on an entirely different workbench. And so there are all these things missing. So they have to problem solve for that, which is,
I honestly, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
I kind of get the idea that, he didn't need it, so he disconnected it and put it somewhere else. But I don't buy that Walk would be that kind of guy. I feel like Walker would have kept everything connected, even if he didn't need it, because it's all part of understanding what it does and how it works. Unless his thought process was, I don't want to accidentally transmit.
Oh, yeah, that could be. But what I was thinking, because that did occur to me, it's like it seems silly to separate them to that extent. But it also, if he knows exactly what that does, then that's a component he doesn't have to think about. He can just put it aside.
True.
Literally put it aside.
And putting it aside to
I know this
keep it out of your range. I'm going to focus on these things. I know what this is, get rid of it. Know what this is, get rid of it. Just focus on this stuff that I'm trying to understand.
Yeah. Yeah. And to extrapolate further upon that, I would bet that I think you're right, that he is the type of guy that would want to tinker with it. I think once he would have figured out this, he absolutely would have moved on to that. He would have figured out how to make it work the other way. Exactly. I think that there was probably intent, like, I'm going to get to that when I'm done and I figure out what I need to figure out, because that seems fun. That seems like the type of thing his brain would just chew on. And I think it says a lot about his character. But I do agree with you that he definitely would have wanted to play with it, and I think he would have circled around to it.
Yeah.
So we find that they've got enough fuel in the generator for about 3 weeks of power. So that is the amount of time that Jules has to get to Silo 17, it sounds like. And isn't that what she said it would take the silo to empty with the pump fixed?
I don't remember the specific, but it feels like
somewhere
it was
near
that.
there, right?
Like she's
I
saying
didn't go back and look, but it
or something like that.
Yeah, it felt like it would go in 2 to 3 weeks. So I feel like we're setting up timing pretty perfectly for something like that.
I mean, that would make sense.
Right? And we dive a little bit more into Shirley's character, which Shirley as a character, I adore her. She's great. There's a reason her and Jules are best friends. And her curiosity is completely overtaking her fear. She even points out like, oh shit, I should be afraid right now. And she's like, nah, I'm curious. That's just who I am. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
And I like that mention there, because I feel like it kind of ties into what Mark was seeing when, like, you know, I've never seen her scared.
Yeah.
Because like of all the, you know, whatever. I think that like, the answer is that. Like, well, the reason he hasn't seen her scared is because she's curious. Curiosity overtakes the fear for her.
Yeah, she's figuring things out. I didn't even think about that line having been dropped by Mark. Oh, poor Mark.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really appreciate that quality that keeps being brought up. I really like her as a character.
Honestly, I just love all the characters that are curious, because that's one of the traits that I love about myself, and I love seeing it in other people.
Oh, fair enough. And it makes for a more interesting character. If you have a Peter Billings that just, you know, follows the rules and does what he's told, that's not an engaging character. So I completely agree with that.
This Peter Billings is boring. I don't like him. I like the Peter Billings in the show. He's a different character. I think the Peter Billings in the show might be amalgamation of multiple characters. I think they changed him to fit the narrative. So I don't think he's the same. I don't think, like, even though he shares a name, I don't think he's really the same character. And we can talk about that more when we get to the show. You know,
I'd be curious.
Subscribe to your Patreon so they can hear that conversation. But yeah, so this Peter Billings, I don't like him. Like, I don't really remember anything else about him if he comes up in the book more or anything else. So like, I can say this with complete honesty without like any bias of what he is or what he becomes. I don't like him. He's boring.
No, he sucks.
He's like just a rule follower. Like, there's no depth to him. Whereas like the characters I love are like Juliet and Holston's wife. And I eventually liked Holston because he, like, the curiosity got to him, but he's not like, I don't feel like Holston is that curious character like these other ones are. Like, he was only curious because his wife was curious and ended up dying because of her curiosity. But like, Allison,
that would do it.
Like, I fucking love Allison because of that curiosity. I love Juliet for that curiosity. I love Walker and Shirley because of that curiosity. I love curiosity.
Yeah, no, it makes for a much more entertaining character, for sure, and person. Honestly, like, there's a reason we get along, because we are both driven like that.
Absolutely. I was actually thinking while saying that, I'm like, it doesn't really fit for the podcast. I'll just keep this to myself. But now I'm going to say it. Like, when dating, that's one of the top things that I look for in a partner is that curiosity.
Really?
Like, somebody who's curious is somebody who, like, they excite me.
Hear that, ladies?
To the people who can't
come
see
join
me
the Patreon and you can chat with Michael here.
Oh God, cut that. No, don't.
Man.
Whatever you want. But anyway. I'm getting embarrassed now. Okay. Aww. So moving on, let's talk about
so
the
they're
book,
starting to tune in. And my note on the side here, are we about to hear from Jules? Which, spoiler, yep. Well, hear
and
her,
it's
yes,
such an
but
emotional moment.
Oh, dude.
So good.
Oh, dude, at the bottom, the last thing I wrote in this chapter is ... This gave me chills. It's like that. It was so impactful, so good. And I'm going to read that whole section when we get there.
Cool.
But it's, oh, God, this is well written. It's just beautiful. But I did want to point out that Shirley is thinking about the consequences and the things happening in the silo. And she has we'll call it the Knox moment, because he had a similar moment before the attack. He was wondering, like, are we the good guys? Is it worth it? And actually, Walk also had these thoughts, but it's the is this all worth it mentality and thought. And there's a really impactful line here that it's talking about the people that were ripped from her, the changes of their lives. I mean, how different, even if they win this little battle, how different life is going to be, you have to think about. And the last line of this pondering of hers is, there had been injustice, but she had been in love. Did that make it okay? Or which sacrifice made more sense? And it's like, when you have something worth fighting for, it's almost harder to fight for it because there's more potential to lose it.
It also gives you more of a reason to fight for it.
It does. Like, but you think about somebody that doesn't have that love, like, fuck yeah, I'll go fight. I'm going to, maybe things will be better on the other end. There's like, take our current political situation. If civil war were to break out, the people that have a lot to lose are going to be more hesitant to join into the fray, right?
Want to get into another tangent here? Because I have a story about this.
Well, let me finish this thought for a second.
Yeah.
And then yes, let's go for it. But the people that have little to lose, there's nothing but up. There's nothing but better for them, right? So
yeah.
While yes, having someone to defend and someone to fight for and someone and a quality career or a house or something that's really yours, that's you've worked hard for and is worth fighting for, it's that much more terrifying to step into what could potentially make you lose that thing very easily.
And that is absolutely 100% true. And I can back this up with evidence. So I don't remember what the exact thing was. There have been so many things with this current administration that, are lines being crossed that should be the final line that is crossed. And yet we keep doing nothing. And
we keep moving the
more
goalposts.
Lines keep getting crossed. And I'm personally like, why the fuck aren't we doing the things we should be doing? Because this is not okay. But whatever that at the moment goalpost was, I made a post on Reddit where I was like, when is it time to have a real revolution? When is it time for us to actually stand up and go to DC and fight in the whatever way we need to fight? When is that time? Is it now? And a lot of people were like, now. Yesterday. Like, it's beyond that time. And my argument was like, I know, like, then come join me in DC this weekend. Let's go, like, occupy the Capitol. Let's go camp there until things change. Like, if me and 500,000 of my friends are on the lawn of the Capitol, like, it's hard to say no to that. Yeah. But the argument I kept getting over and over again was, I can't, because I have things to do. I have my job, I have my kids, I have my house. And that is the argument everybody kept making. And I have kids too. I was saying in that post, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do about my kids and my dog. I just know that this needs to happen. And I feel like it's that sort of argument of like, because I have kids, for me, is the reason I need to do something. And it's the reason I want to be there and I want to invoke change. But it's also the exact reason other people say, hesitant to do so. Not me. I want other people to go do that. I can't do it. And I think that is like the biggest problem we have is like, if people aren't impacted directly, personally, they have a hard time letting go of the things that they hold so dear that they could possibly lose by doing these things. Yeah. And
it's a horrible place to be.
Like, supporting what you're saying, like, the people who have these things that they are afraid of losing are exactly the sort of people that are going to not stand up and fight when they probably should be the ones standing up and fighting.
Yeah. And this actually kind of goes into a conversation that I was going to bring up a little bit later. It is to do with Shirley. Courtney asks her if she's doing okay, obviously referring to having lost Mark. And she runs down this whole list, like, here's everything that's wrong at the moment. And we'll get to this and then we'll read it out. But she also goes into a whole paragraph where she says, I miss him. I love him. I'm sad he's gone, but I also don't have to watch him go through this, which is
watching your loved ones go through the stuff that you're going through. It's I think almost harder than going through it yourself.
Right. Like, and it kind of reminds me, this is certainly a tangent, and I, again, don't know if this will be in the podcast or not, even the tangent edition, but my grandfather passed in 2019, and he detested the current administration. Just it made him so angry, understandably and justifiably. The fact that he passed just before 2020, just before the pandemic, just before all the bullshit that came with that, I'm obviously not glad he's gone, but I'm glad he didn't have to go through that. If that makes sense. It's a horrible thing to say, but it's
no, I get what you're saying.
To watch him be that angry and change into this horrible, miserable person before he passed would have been very difficult to watch. And
save him that pain of watching it all happen.
Yeah. So that's kind of all part of it as well. Like, once you lose that, it's almost more fuel, because now you have a revenge story, I guess you could say. Nothing left to lose story is more likely. But just it's difficult. It's difficult to even think about. I know we talked about it when they were about to go on their first incursion, and it was from Mark's perspective, and watching her, Shirley, prepare for battle was difficult for him. So now we have the flip side of it, and it's such a difficult thing, not having been in that situation, such a difficult thing to even begin to wrap your mind around what you would do and how you would feel and how relieved you would feel versus how terrified you would feel, I mean, there are so many facets of the human emotion, the human scale, that would hit you all at once. And there's just, you never know how you're going to react until you're in a situation of dire need.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, getting back to the page that we were on.
Where were we? What were we talking about? What's going on?
we were just about to hear from Jules, so it's a big moment.
Yeah.
So they tune in. So this is happening at the exact same time, and so we hear the solo. This is Juliet. Can you hear me? What's going on up there?
Yeah, the line you said, remember.
Yes. So I, like, when I read that, I'm like, oh my God, it's happening exactly the same time. And so it's like, it's super exciting, because now there's potential that they'll contact her, but she's in this dire situation. So the way that this is set up, it's like, this is such exciting timing, because she's fighting for her life right now.
Yep.
And they're all excited because they heard from her, because she's alive. So there's a little bit of a dichotomy there. That's that my note here was ... for now.
Yeah.
But then the paragraph that I wanted to read was the end of this chapter. Gave me chills. Shirley dropped the knob. She watched it swing on its soldered wire and crash to the floor. Her hands felt numb. Her fingertips tingled. She turned, gaped at Walker's lap, where the ghostly voice had risen, and found him looking dumbly down at his own hands. Neither of them moved. The voice, the name, they were unmistakable. Tears of confused joy winked past Walker's beard and fell into his lap.
So good. I just got chills with you reading it out loud. Oh, man.
It's so good. Like, if that doesn't hit you somewhere, you're broken.
Man, so exciting. Like, just like oh my God, they just found out. Yeah. Like, we're gonna learn, they're gonna communicate with her, like, and then of course, like, when they go to, like, talk, that's when they realize they don't have the transmitter, which isn't until the next chapter that we get back to walk. But, like, oh no, like, I'm waiting, like, because we don't know, they don't have the transmitter yet. So, like, when we jump back to the Juliet chapter in the very next chapter, I'm like waiting for Walk's voice to come on. Right, I'm waiting to hear Shirley, and it doesn't happen. And I'm just like, no, why?
Well, that's because she loses her damn walkie-talkie so quickly.
Oh, does
like,
she? I didn't notice that.
This. Yeah, dude. She ditches the helmet. Guess what's in the helmet?
Well, when she gets back up to Solo and she ditches the helmet, I figure it's just like there, right? And it was so loud.
She ditches the helmet as she's swimming up so she can get to the air bubbles under the stairs. Yeah. So that walkie-talkie is gone. But of course, that's after she breaks her light and is in a nightmare scenario.
Yeah, which is all this chapter we're about to get into. But I was wondering why later on, when Walk does fix the transmitter and they say hello, why we didn't hear Juliet hear that? I'm like, why isn't she hearing this? Isn't her helmet right there with the overly loud? No, I forgot about that. It's on the bottom. They have
Solo's walkie, and that's the only one that we know of. Yeah.
Oh, that's so
messed up. So messed up.
So close to communication. So close, and they
passing in the night. But
that ship's passing
Walker,
in the night thing.
Surely they know. I mean, they know that she made it somewhere, and for the time being, she's alive. So awesome.
Yeah.
So then we switch back, or we roll into chapter 66 or 14. Sounds like.
Yep.
And we're back with Juliet, and she's having a hell of a time. She's theorizing what could possibly have gone wrong. She's thinking something could have gone wrong with the compressor, theorizing that maybe Solo didn't know how to restart it, which I know I mentioned when she was going into the water how she had thought of every failure point, and it really surprises me that he wouldn't know how to restart it, because she was going over a checklist of possible failures.
Well, I feel like in this section when she's talking about it, I think it's just she probably showed him or told him, but knew he wouldn't really understand. He wasn't that kind of person. So she just kind of was just don't turn it off. Make sure you feel it while it's going, and taught him that stuff. But maybe she mentioned it. She just knew he wouldn't remember.
Right. Yeah. We've met him. I mean, he's a 16-year-old in a 50-year-old body. So that makes sense. But she's pretty well resigned that she's about to die. I mean, that is, she has accepted her death essentially. So she decides that she's going to try to cut the weights off of her feet, which is kind of an amusing moment when she gets one of them off. Apparently, because the suit and the way it's expanded, she can't really reach her feet. So she gets her trusty safety knife, and she manages to get it one weight undone, which makes her float halfway with one foot on the ground, which gave me a great visual. I thought it was really funny. And she mentions not wanting to drop her knife. Why didn't she tie her knife along with everything else to herself? That seems
I mentioned
foolish.
That on the last time we recorded. I was if all the other tools are tied to her, why isn't the knife? What?
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah, I guess it's just going to have to be what it is. Oh, before all this, wait, was this before? No, it's not. So she's concerned that because she was in a hurry with her air going dry, she did kind of shoddy work on the plug. So she's being really, really careful not to touch that wire.
Yeah, she doesn't want to pull that. She doesn't want to accidentally pull it off in case it wasn't good.
Right, which she does at one point. She pulls on the wire the wrong direction. So I'm curious to know if that messed it up.
Oh, yeah. We haven't gotten to that point. We don't know.
She
hasn't tried turning it on yet.
Yeah, so we finished before she tried turning it on, which is a little scary.
Man, this could all be for nothing.
I know. It's terrible.
It didn't even cross my mind. It should have, but it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, she mentioned it was shoddy work a number of times, and she's trying not to touch the wire, even though she does pull on it because she can't see a damn thing, because she floats up when she's able to get her other weight off. She floats up and hits the ceiling, which breaks her light, and it falls off of her helmet. It sinks into the dark, and she is in pitch black, and all she has is the air tube to lead her back. Terrifying. I hate everything about it.
It is scary.
Yeah, she's going hand over hand, pulling herself along this tube. She's not sure if her shortness of breath is due to the adrenaline or the lack of O2, probably both. Just fantastic. But I did want to point out one really fascinating comparison, analogy, if you will. He compares the thickness and darkness of the situation she's in as a midnight soup. And I do want to point out how cold this water is. Once again, connecting cold and soup with Juliet. I don't know that it's on purpose, but goddamn it, it's too common not to be, man.
we're coming up with some conspiracy theories about Hugh Howey.
I'm telling you, man, there's something with this cold soup that Howey wanted to say, and I'm trying to find out what it is.
Well, hopefully he listens and he can answer us. Like right? Hugh Howey, if you're listening, if you got through this and
what's with the soup, man?
Please leave a comment for us about the cold soup. Like, were you conscious of that? Was that intentional? Is Juliet just never going to eat hot soup?
she hasn't yet. Every single mention. That's I just had to call that out because it's uncanny. I mean, repeatedly.
It's wonderful. Whether it was intentional or not, I love finding this connection.
So rolling on to chapter 67. We are back with Lucas, and we meet Lucas's mom, Mama Luke.
Wait, is this hold on. I just want to see if we have to talk about the thing. No, not yet. Okay. Oh yeah. So as of right now, she has no air and she has no light, and she's, did she even? She's finding it, grasping, yanking, hauling herself through the midnight soup. So like she found her air hose to pull herself back with. Okay, so that's where we get left off. She can't breathe. She's in her suit, and then we skip ahead to Lucas. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So we meet Lucas and his mom. They're chatting, and Bernard and Billings are standing off to the side. I'm not sure if they're listening or not, and it's actually something that he thinks about later on. It feels like they're a little too close. Like they're intentionally listening to see if he's going to spill beans. Yeah,
like,
right.
Of course they are, right? Like whether or not like they're acting like it, Bernard's keeping tabs on this guy.
Yeah, and this chapter is insane. Like this is where we find out everything. This answers so many questions. Yeah. This is where he has his interview.
Where we get the
Are you sure? Oh, you might no.
Oh yeah, he has his interview. Yeah. But he doesn't actually break it down with Bernard until his next chapter. Yeah.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
The interview. Yeah.
So he has been there for a month, which means we're a week after our 3-week jump. So that's an interesting stat to keep in mind. So we're a month out from when Jules left the silo. Her mention of the nasty business with those rebels, that kind of gives us an insight as to what the general populace is being told. Yeah. So that's interesting. And we still don't know what happened in freaking supply. I want to know how IT handled supply, them being part of the attack.
I guess maybe we'll never know.
I don't know. Well, we got a little bit left in the book. I'm still hoping. And then, okay, so she asked if he was getting exercise, which we find out later that he jogs around the servers, which is lame exercise, but it's something.
Whatever,
it's something. But and then Bernard says he's pleased to meet her. Hadn't he been talking to her? I know we talked about him talking to her a couple of times, right? Because I was talking about how she was going to spill the beans on Lucas liking Juliet.
Yeah, there was some sort of conversation about meeting his mom or going to talk to his mom. I don't remember the specifics.
Yeah, at least twice. Yeah, nor do I. Not enough to say this is wrong, but it feels like either that was a lie, which
or just
let's
never
not be shocked there. Or that's exactly it. Or never happened. It feels because I think Billings was one of the
going to happen.
I think Billings mentioned that it was happening. So maybe Billings was just trying to be a little shit. I mean, he's moved that direction. So I don't know. It stood out to me. Yeah. It was weird.
Or maybe like the communication with the mom was just about like talking to her about doing this, but he may have sent like one of his people out to do that conversation.
Messenger,
I don't know.
Reporter or something.
A little bit of an interesting disconnect there. I'm not sure why.
Just it caught my eye.
Here.
Yeah. But then he says, let's make it official. Bernard says, let's make it official to Lucas after his mom leaves, of course. Yeah. And when he's walking back, I like that he takes a different route, trying to just keep it not monotonous.
I feel like a little bit of that's like not to be with Bernard too.
Well, it seems that way. Yeah. I really, really love that when Bernard hands him the headphones, he puts them on backwards.
Right. Obviously intentionally, since we know he knows how to use them.
Yeah. Hilarious. And so Bernard is about to plug into Silo 1, we assume. But Lucas is thinking like, oh, what if he just plugged in 17? We could just get this over with and just talk to Juliet and be done with it. But no, of course, he plugs into number one.
Honestly, I love that Hugh Howey like writes the intrusive thoughts. Like, I love that we get to hear those intrusive thoughts of the characters.
It builds so much more intent behind the characters. So much more desire, so much more motivation, I suppose. Yeah, I completely agree.
Depth.
Yeah. But yeah, so he connects to Silo 1, and first thing this person says is name, and he answers Lucas Kyle, which I think is the first time we've heard his last name. I'm not 100% sure of that.
Well, I mean, a couple of pages ago, referred to his mom as Mrs. Kyle, but
okay, so this
name was
chapter.
Lucas Kyle. So I'm not sure if I know that from the show, or
I'm just not
I
sure.
just remember it from the book, or if it was mentioned earlier. I can't remember for sure.
Okay. Well, it caught my eye as not knowing that information, but that we've read through 458 pages at this point, so I'm not surprised if I forgot something.
But you remember Nicholas Nichols.
Of course I do. I mean, who wouldn't? That kind of alliteration, you're going to have to. So this interview is really interesting, and I think what the best way to approach this, because this is the chapter that I was thinking, like, how are we going to talk about this without actually reading it? And I think the best approach here is just going to be the questions, answers, and then we'll go back and talk about it. Does that make sense? Does that seem?
I'm not sure I follow what you're struggling with, but just go for it. I'll follow. I'll figure it out.
So the dude in Silo 1 is asking name Lucas Kyle. He shattered IT. He confirms, yes, sir. What is the primary duty of the silo? Answer is to maintain order. What do you protect above all? Answer is life and legacy, even though he certainly had more to say on that. What does it take to protect the things that we hold so dear? And he paused and answered sacrifice. Again, he has questions and reservations. How much time have you had in the suit lab? Not much, but Bernard, my boss, is wanting me to schedule time in the labs after, Silo 1, yes, I do know. How is the problem in your low levels? He admits that he's not kept apprised of the overall progress, but it sounds good. And then he asks, would you have done anything differently? His answer being, no, sir, though there is a paragraph in between that question and answer. So that's like the interview process, basically. And then he's confirmed, you are next in line for control and operation of Silo 18. And at the end of this, welcome to Operation 50 of the World Order, Lucas Kyle. So you learn a lot.
That's an interesting little, misspeak world error. Cause oh man.
Yeah. Right. So there's a lot here. I mean, just the back and forth of this conversation, it tells you a lot. And I really dug it. I really enjoyed getting these, just the kind of the operational side of the way the silos worked. We're getting a little bit deeper in that realm.
And one is that head of all things, and
and you'd expect it to be.
They're basically like management or HR or whatever of the of the silos. Yeah,
the C-suite.
Yeah, exactly.
But the things that I did want to touch back on, so his answer of what do we protect above all is life and legacy. And his issue with this is that he feels like he's just spouting memorized facts, and there's so much more that he wants to say. Of course, this is how he gets through the process, but I appreciated getting, like you said, the intrusive thoughts, the thoughts that he was having behind and before the questions were answered, because it really does show us that Lucas is a quality person. Like he's a good dude just trying to do right. And
gives us some insight into who he is.
Yeah. And it's really, it's nice to see that he is the quality person that we kind of have come to expect and hope that he is. But he's also the sacrifice answer. He hits the point that we've heard a number of times throughout this book, is the sending good people out to die, to clean, and how he has a problem with that because there's no reason for it. Ultimately,
he wasn't sure the sacrifice was worth it. The danger's so great that they had to let people good people go to there, cuts off, goes to the next question. But yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't finish
He
it,
doesn't
but
know.
yeah,
He doesn't believe that this is necessarily the way to do things. He's like, we have all of this data in front of us, and he said earlier about like, why can't we use this information to fix things? Why does it have to be this way?
Yeah, it's wild that it is. And then the question, would you have done anything different, Lucas? And the whole paragraph between is him thinking about shooting McLean. So this is what really led me to believe that this is going to be the catalyst for him being able to resist the temptations of the silo.
Yeah.
Because he really carries that guilt. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He can't let that go. Just like it's an image burned into his mind. And it's not even just the fact that he killed McLean. It's the fact that when he killed McLean, she dropped the bomb and killed Knox and other people. Like he is directly responsible for so much death with one shot, and that haunts him, and it's rightfully so.
Oh, understandably and rightfully. Yeah, absolutely. That's wild. But after this interview and he's confirmed, conversation gets a little more casual, and the guy on the other line says, "Do you know what the worst part of my job is?" And he says, having to cross out a silo. It's like a father having to, how does he say that? It feels like a parent losing thousands of children all at once, with an S on the end of that 1,000. So there's definitely at least 2,000 per silo, at least.
Yeah, multiple thousands. Mm-hmm.
Just, whoa, that's insane. So Lucas, it goes back to his curiosity of how it began. So he asks, and I do like that on the next page, Bernard's wisdom actually shines through, because I'm still very much in the camp of not liking Bernard at this point. But he says Bernard had taught him about admitting ignorance and how this was the key to knowledge. And to the listener, if you take anything from this podcast, listen to that. There's nothing wrong with ignorance. Use it to learn. Like, if you don't know how to do something, you don't know the answer to something, you don't have to make up bullshit. Just say you don't know and learn.
No problems in admitting you don't know something.
Drop the pride, drop the need to know everything, and just learn.
Just had an interview for a job a couple of days ago, and one of the things that we were talking about is like, well, what do you do if you don't know something? I'm like, I have no problems admitting when I don't know something and like finding out. And obviously that was a good answer because I got another interview. But that's exactly right. Like knowing when you've hit your limits and knowing when it's time to reach out to other people is such an important trait and quality in life. And obviously it's important here in the book. And I love that wisdom that Bernard spouts out. And I kind of love that Bernard, this terrible human being that we all hate or love to hate, is the one espousing that wisdom.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. So that was kind of the turning point for Bernard's character. It's like, oh shit, he actually does know something. He actually does have a bit of a brain on his shoulders. And you have been pushing me to accept that for a while. And all right.
From the very beginning, when you were like, I hate Bernard, I was just like, I'm really curious to know, like, if that's going to stay that way. I didn't want to reveal anything. I didn't want to give you any inside or spoilers. But like, I've been waiting to see not this exact section, but this is like the beginning of it. But like specifically the next Lucas chapter, really curious to see like how you would evolve on your take about Bernard, because he is not as black and white as he seems like he is at the beginning of the story. And like all the murders that he's doing to him are completely justified.
Yeah, he really is an interesting character. So I'm curious to know where they go with him. I mean, whether he survives this book or not, I don't know. But if he makes it into the second book, I'm curious to see how he will evolve as a character, because there is something here. I'm going to stand on the fact that he will never become a protagonist to me, regardless of his actions, because he's done so many horrible things in the name of a horrible thing. But the way he explains the reason, I mean, he is certainly passing the buck, and it's I was just following orders defense, which is not great, but there's a bit of a backbone in there.
I was thinking that right before you said it about like the just following orders thing. And I'm not sure that it is fully a just following orders thing, because it's not so much that he's just following orders as is evidenced by him talking about how if he had all of the people in the room with him, he'd murder them with his own hands.
Sure.
It's more of a like he's been forced into this situation that he has no say over, and he's doing what he thinks he has to do to make the best of it, which I think is different than just following orders.
Yes, but in that decision, his decision to do that puts him in a place where he is just following orders.
I mean, yeah, he is following the orders of the order. But,
exactly. So he opened the book the moment things went wrong. He opened the book and like, this is what we're doing.
But as is evidenced from like that next chapter, there's a line in particular I can't remember off the top of my head, and I don't want to keep scrolling through because I'm on my Kindle and it's hard to find it quickly. But like something he says, essentially saying, you know, there's the terribleness of what these evil people did, and then there's the evil we have to do to survive. And so in his mind, like he fully believes in the fact that the things he has to do are justified and necessary. And so I don't think he's just following orders in his mind. He's doing what he believes is right.
Yeah, you could be right. And it's a and I got to say that's what one of the many things I'm really enjoying about this book is that the characters are so multifaceted, and Bernard finally is getting that chance to become multifaceted. I can't speak. Good thing I do a podcast, right?
I think it's actually really, really great in that Hugh did this, where he gives us a character that seems like he's going to be surface level, you know, two-dimensional. He's just the evil bad guy and that's all it is. But then he waits to reveal that at the right time to get us to, I don't know, feel something, to understand the character more. And I love it.
Yeah, we're in the 11th hour. So it's I mean, if you're going to throw a Hail Mary for a character, this is the time. And it's a good one. And I'm impressed because it definitely gave me a view of what that character could potentially be if not for the situation at hand. Like it gives you a reason to believe that he and Lucas could be friends.
Yeah.
It's not this all-encompassing evil character that we first were introduced to. Like there's a reason him and Lucas were friends at one point. Seems that's kind of fallen out at this point.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like at this point in time, I don't think that that's truly there anymore, but there was definitely a real friendship before all of this started going down, at least from Lucas's side. And I think that from Bernard's side, I think that was true. I think it really was a friendship from Bernard's side as well. And this gives us that insight to understand why and how that is the case. You're going to have to do so much editing with that, but I hopefully gave you enough pauses that you can make it sound
That's
cohesive.
Right. I'll make it work. Lucas is again asking how this all came to be. And we find out the answer is we did it. Lucas comes to that conclusion and it is confirmed. And we'll get into that because there's a lot to unpack there. We'll get into that in a couple chapters because Jesus Christ, that is a chapter. The last paragraph, last thing in this chapter, the dude on the line says, going forward, I suggest you concentrate on what's beneath your feet. No more of this business with the stars. Okay, son? We know where most of them are.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
That sucks. Poor Lucas. That was like the one thing he was concerned about. Well, besides Juliet, but yeah, I was like, oh man. And how do they know? Like, I guess he wasn't secretive about it, but.
Well, I mean, obviously, like, I'm sure Bernard was keeping an eye on this guy.
Sure,
this guy who,
that makes sense.
In fact, I'm debating if I want to say this or not. Slight spoiler for the show.
Okay.
I don't want to really spoil that.
All right, let's just move on past it. We'll talk about it.
With this though, and it's so important. It's like it's exactly why I like Lucas. So that it's a minor spoiler. It's not a real big one. And if you've read the book, it's like, you know, whatever. Like obviously, you know, Lucas ends up being in this position. So like it's just a reasoning of why that Bernard gives him. Like in the show, he actually like tells him that the reason he picks him is because of his curiosity. And so like it's
interesting
what we see here. Like we know Lucas is curious. That's why we like him, right? It's something that really
also
endears us to him.
Likes
like
him.
his but it's also why Bernard likes him. It's why Bernard picks him for this role. And so, like, obviously Bernard's been keeping an eye on him, so he knows that he goes up and looks at the stars. He just kind of like, you know, probably was like, whatever, I'll let him have this thing, but he's aware of it, and obviously so much aware of it that he's telling, you know, Silo 1 about it.
Well, I imagine
so
he has to.
A very fascinating thing. But that curiosity, like, that's again, it's why I love this character so much, is his curiosity and his
that's fascinating.
His desire to learn and know things.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I really enjoyed that line when I heard it in the show. Like, when he says it, I'm just like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. I get it. And obviously the show is different than the book, so, like, you know, maybe that's not the same motivation here, but it feels like it is, even if it's not explicitly said.
Yeah, the fact that he knows about it and passes on the information, because I'd imagine there's probably some reporting he has to do if he's going to be choosing someone.
Mm-hmm. It also tells us he's probably wanted Lucas as his shadow for longer than he let on. Like, you know, we only find out about it at whatever point makes sense for the story, but Bernard's probably already been considering it for, you know, months or whatever,
I'd imagine
before all this happens.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So much to unpack. All right, and that feels like a good place to cut it. Make sure to come back for the rest of the discussion about chapters 64 through 73 next episode. Until then, I hope life treats you well. Thank you so much for spending your time with us between the covers of today's story. If you'd like to help keep Shelf Indulgence alive and growing, you'll find our Patreon link in the description. Your support helps write the next chapter. A rating or review wherever you listen also helps other readers discover us and means more to me than you know. Most of all, thank you so much for being a part of this journey. I truly hope you'll keep turning the pages with us. Book by book, story by story. We'll see you next time.